What's up, everybody? I'm here to cover the Zygarde buffs and changes for this hack. If it wasn't obvious just by looking at this is not your average run-of-the-mill ROM hack. If you're just clicking on this from your recommended, welcome, hello. There is a link in the description to the Google Sheet that I'm sharing on screen right now. I highly encourage you check that out, even if you've done so already, and especially if you haven't done so already, because I have buffed and changed 600 plus moves. There are 130 plus custom brand new moves, and of course, every single Pokemon has been reworked extensively. And another disclaimer, none of these buffs and changes are intended for competitive play whatsoever, if that wasn't obvious by looking at this. Because yeah, it would be absolutely ridiculous in a competitive sense, but that's not what this is balanced around. This is balanced around in-game, and a lot, you can have a lot more leniency with stuff being quote-unquote broken in there, because at the end of the day, I can explain that in another video one day. Not for this video, though, if you don't understand why. But yeah, awesome stuff with Zygarde. Super sick abilities. 10% is a separate entity from 50%. Complete form is not obtainable by the player. I'm going to get some comments like, ha ha ha, imagine if it was. Like, yeah, imagine if it was, but that's not really the star of the video. It's just another unusable post-game boss fight. Stuff like Mewtwo and Groudon, Kyogre, etc. All those Pokemon are in the same vein as Zygarde Complete. Dexio will have one, but that's not relevant, alright? 10% and 50%. So I did change Zygarde 10% to be a Dragon Normal. I think that's pretty cool. It helps to give it stab on extreme speed. It's a little dog guy. I just think it's cool to have a unique type combo. Only Drampa has it, and Drampa is a much slower, bulkier Dragon Normal type that's also not a mixed attacker. While Zygarde 10% is a really cool mixed attacker with the ability Instinct, which functions like Intimidate, and you can use that infinite use ability capsule to switch between Instinct, which functions like download is what I meant to say. And then you can use an infinite usability capsule to switch to Intimidate. You might be thinking, why would I ever want to Intimidate? Instinct is so strong. Oh my god, Unga Bunga, I just click buttons, don't I? And you're right in the sense that Instinct is very strong, but you're wrong to downplay the utility of an ability like Intimidate. I think it fits, by the way, because he's this dog Pokemon. I initially had Intimidate on Zygarde 50% as well, because that fits really well, but I think Vivid Lens is way cooler, which I'll get into why that's awesome in a second. It's probably my favorite ability in the game, so I was a little bit biased here, but yeah, Intimidate is really good because it gives you actual defensive utility. Outside of your Ghost immunity, you don't have much on Zygarde 10%. So having a fast Intimidate parting shot user with dual screens as well, and Taunt, and all these other Glare, Recover, you can really make great use of Zygarde 10% in that regard, purely just because of those moves. With that infinite usability capsule and those infinite EV training items, you can run like max HP, max speed, or speed creep to outspeed something. It's great for utility, and you're going to need a lot of utility in this hack because it's not all about offense. You will lose if you're doing a Nuzlocke and you're trying to just out offense everything. You will 100% lose. You need to be smarter about it. So that's why utility stuff is great. Zygarde 50% has two very fitting abilities, especially Regenerator. Regenerator, I don't think I even need to get into why that fits Zygarde, but it fits. Look at him. Like, he literally, his whole thing is reconstructing himself with those cells. So I think Regenerator is sick, and makes him a great defensive Pokemon in that regard, especially with his newfound HP, which, by the way, yes, I did make it double Zygarde 10% on purpose. 64 times 2 is 128, so I thought that was pretty cool. Pretty cute, right? 64 times 2 is 128? Yeah, it is. And that's awesome. All right, 128, 120, 195 bulk with Regenerator. You can run an Assault Vest for certain fights. You do have a lot of moves that work great with Regenerator. Not only do you have Parting Shot and U-Turn, you also have moves that will drop your attacking stats, and then you can use Regenerator to gain your stats back when you switch out. So, for example, Draco Meteor is 150 base power. Land's Wrath does the same thing that Draco Meteor does. Land's Wrath is actually not even a signature move anymore. If you're new here and you're just clicking on this video and you don't notice by now, Land's Wrath and tons of other previously signature moves are widely distributed just to give Pokemon more options to use. But yeah, that's basically ground type Draco Meteor, special move. And then you have Draconic Beam at 58 a little bit later on, which is even stronger version of Draco Meteor, 180 base power minus 4 special attack, but only has 3 PP. But that works great with Regenerator. All three of those moves are awesome Regenerator moves. Recoil moves also work well with Regenerator because you'll heal off that recoil damage. You can also use buffed Shell Bell, which heals 20%. But yeah, Dragon Rush, drops your defenses. That works great with Regenerator because you can switch out after. It's like Dragon Tail post combat. Headlong Rush and Core Enforcer are both 150 base power moves that drop your defenses by 1 and deal 30% recoil. Core Enforcer is a special move, and of course that is signature to Zygarde because nothing else is using that animation. Same goes for 1,000 Waves and 1,000 Arrows. 1,000 Waves is awesome. That is essentially ground type Boom Burst and Draconic Wave. So all three of those moves, Boom Burst, Draconic Wave, and 1,000 Waves, are 125 base power moves with no drawbacks. 1,000 Waves also traps the opponent, but that's not relevant in game because unless the AI is using it against you, like, I don't know, Dexio or something, but his is going to be physical, so it's not relevant trapping effect. It's just a nice, like, basically guaranteed, hit move. Sorry, I just got distracted. But yeah, then you have 1,000 arrows, which is 100 base power. Also, all of the Zygarde special moves, all of Zygarde's signature moves are now special attacks, by the way. So Land's Wrath, 1,000 waves, 1,000 arrows are all special moves, which is really cool. I think special Zygarde makes a lot of sense. I think mixed Zygarde makes a lot of sense. Hold on, I have to sneeze. Yeah, 1,000 arrows even later at 65. It is significantly weaker than 1,000 waves, but of course 1,000 arrows has the additional effect of hitting flying types. So with Tinted Lens, it's unresisted. Nothing in the game resists Tinted Lens 1,000 arrows, and that's really fun in my opinion. It's fun. Obviously, that's why I said it would be broken in competitive. I mean, all types of Pokemon in attack would be ridiculously broken, but this especially would be pretty crazy, especially because he gets Power Glow, which is essentially Tail Glow. That only has one BP. Setup moves in general are nerfed in a lot of different ways that I'm not even going to bother getting into in this video. But just trust me when I say that you're not going to be able to set up sweep fights without planning extensively. And even like defensive bulkier setup sets won't work that well because crit moves will bypass through your boost. So for example, Coil or Calm Mind, you know, those aren't the best. But you can still, for certain fights, you can use it. You do have Omni boosting moves as well on as Camouflage and Acclimate. Z moves will give you +1 to all your stats. Z Camouflage changes your type. You can run that under terrain and get stabbed with Tinted Lens, or you can just change your type and you get +1 to all your stats. And then 12, 14 levels later, you'll get the Acclimate, which changes your type to match the move at the top of your learn set. And you can use that in conjunction with Tinted Lens, which is sick. Or you can use it on Zygarde 10%. Zygarde 10% will be an island Scanmon, like a bunch of other Pokemon. Probably mid-Ulu Island, pretty balanced to that point in the game, pretty fair. Just another fast, strong offensive Pokemon with good utility. Like, you know, nothing too crazy though at all. It's fast, very fast. You can check out that speed tier guide below. But yeah, nothing crazy at all. Very good Pokemon. For that point in the game, Dragon Normal has some good utility because it's immune to Ghost and stuff, and it's solid offensively in terms of like hitting things neutrally, and then you have good coverage moves and stuff. And it's very strong. I mean, download off of 110 offense is very powerful. So yeah, and that's what Instinct does if you're new here. Yeah, and then Zygarde 50% will be obtainable separately as a wormhole encounter, you know, on Pony Island, which is later, pretty damn late in the game. And then the Zygarde Complete is not obtainable at a player, so that's how that will work. Yeah, I fucking also logic for Tinted Lens, by the way. I think it's pretty obvious, but if it's not to you, I mean, if you look at the eyes, like they kind of are constantly blinking around, and all of the little other weird diamonds or whatever rhombuses on his body like will just glow and shit. And I think that's super cool. I just think Tinted Lens is a really cool idea for Zygarde, and it's one of my favorite abilities, so I couldn't resist giving it to the GOAT. I just think it's cool. It fits his weird vibe and his weird eyes. Yeah, I don't really know what else to say. I mean, incredible coverage moves that you don't even really need except for regenerator sets. The beautiful thing about this is that it is balanced for in-game, so you can always just look at the trainer sheets, see what fight is coming up ahead, and switch around your TMs and tutor moves to accommodate whatever is coming up ahead. Especially if you're playing team locked, you can, you know, you have a lot of options with Zygarde. You have regenerator for that defensive utility with either stuff like Parting Shot or just the offensive nuke moves, and you can switch out. And then you have Tinted Lens for just straight out Unga Bunga. But Tinted Lens isn't going to be used every fight. I'd say regenerator is still a little bit better for most fights, just because of the sheer defensive utility it brings. And then Tinted Lens is only useful for some situations in game, but it's still like probably 30% of the time you'll use Tinted Lens. Just depends on what you want to do, because you can always run different sets and change around your items, and your EV spreads are easily customizable at will in this hack, so you have a lot of freedom to work around with your Pokemon. I think I've covered pretty much everything. Again, check out that move sheet if you haven't already. Look at all the other important stuff in the Google Sheet down below, because these videos are not a substitute for the Google Sheets. I did not put all this time to Google Sheets for people just to use the videos. Yeah, make sure you give that a look. I appreciate you listening, and that about wraps up the Kalos Bust and Changes. Peace, everyone.